lay there in my room. I had a private room. There was only 4 private rooms on that ward. Hit a slick, cool alcoholic. I had finagled myself one of them. It had a busted radiator in it. I used to look at that radiator all day long because it had a leak in it. And every time the radiator would leak, it would drop into a little can. And it took about 8 hours for that can to fill up. And when it would fill up, they'd empty it. And sometimes they'd forget to empty it. And so when it'd get full, every time a drop went in it, it would spill over on the side. And then it'd go down on the shelf. Then they'd get enough of it on the shelf, push it over to the edge. And it would drip off the edge of the shelf right down to the floor. And I looked down at the floor to see where it went when it hit the floor. And it rotted away almost a little hole right in that wooden floor. And I watched it one day as it dripped. Into the can, over to the side, down the can, the shelf, down the floor. And I knew that's what had happened to me. My system had finally reached that point where it would no longer tolerate alcohol. That every bit of alcohol that I put into my mouth no longer went in and stayed in. It just dripped over. And it went down, landed on the shelf that was my life, and just rotted away that portion of my life wherever it landed. I realized that it had been a long time since I had any fun drinking, yet that's what I told everybody I drank for. Hey, I'm going to go out tonight and raise hell. And I'd wind up in jail, or I'd wind up strapped down in a hospital, or I'd go out to have some fun tonight. And I'd wound up in the back of a car with my head split wide open, my eyes black, and lips swollen up. What happened to the fun? Where was the fun? And again, the book told me that. The pleasure was gone. Despite the countless vain attempts that I would make in trying to control and enjoy my drinking, the end result would be nil. And in a moment of clarity, in a moment of honesty with myself, I realized that it was right. I finally had to concede to something that I had heard right in the beginning of my introduction to AA that I never wanted to accept. I heard a guy once say that the answer to all of your problems are in this book. And I said, that's a bunch of crap. How could the answers to all of my problems be in that book? They don't even know what my problems are. But they were right. That book, that Bible, whatever the hell you want to call it, that group of words written by alcoholics and addicts and hopheads and everybody else, they knew more about me than I knew about myself. And they knew more about you than you know about yourself. And they put it right down there in black and white and made the simplest thing they could out of this program. They said, if you want what we have. Well, I had to think that over. I wasn't too damn sure I did. And maybe you don't know if you want it. Maybe you don't want to stop drinking. Maybe you don't want to pull down that thing in front of you that you've been hiding behind all the time. Maybe you still want to be a scumhead, a jackass, or whatever the hell you want to be. That's your choice. But if you don't want to be, then there's things you got to do. And if you want to clean up the wreckage of your past, as that book talks about, then you have to do certain things, and then they tell you what to do. They say, here are the things that we did. And then they leave it all up to us. And that's where each of you in this room stands today. At that point where you make that same decision that I had to make and others had to make. Whether to continue on in your madness or reach out for recovery. Some of you will die. Some of you will survive. Some of you have yet to experience things that are so ugly that they're beyond any wildest conception in your mind right now. I don't know if you're ready. I don't know if you're willing to go to any length. I don't even know if you want what we have. Those are the decisions that you have to make. You yourself. Not me, not the counselors, not your spouse, not your boss, not the girlfriend. You. And as you've heard me say a million times, you're the only one that knows the truth. You're the only one that knows how much has to be cleaned up. You're the only one that knows what a slob you've really become or to what depths you've fallen. You're the only one that knows the truth. And so it has to be initiated by you, this effort, as to whether to continue on in the madness or reach out for recovery. Now, I know you're going to sort of giggle at this, but we got to remember there are a lot of mentally ill people. And the mentally ill, that's a bad illness. It's a bad illness. On Wednesday,